This screencast is designed to familiarize you with the navigation and some key features of Google Sheets. Google Sheets can be very useful for a variety of classroom applications such as creating class lists, gradebooks, tracking SLO data, creating charts, and checklists. I'm going to begin by showing you some key parts. If you take a look at the menu options, you'll notice that many of these menus are very similar to the menus that you will see in other Google products. Some of the submenus may be different, however, because they are useful for Google Sheets only. Below this are some of the other menus and formatting options that you may also be familiar with in other Google products. However, again, there are some formatting options that are specific to Google Sheets as well. I encourage you, if you're looking for the ability to do something, to scroll on through and take a look at the little hints that Google gives to you as you scroll over the different formatting options. The next thing I'd like you to take notice of is the formula bar. This formula or function bar will tell you what information is in the cell that you are currently selected on. So for example, I'm selected on B1, and in this cell there's no information right now. However, if I select cell B2, you will see that the words student 1 appear in the formula bar. This is very helpful because sometimes what you see on your sheet is not necessarily what is in the formula bar, which we may get more into in future screencasts. For now, let's take a look at some of those formatting and some really simple tips and tricks that will help you set up your first grade book or your first class list. The first thing you want to do when creating a new sheet is thinking about what kind of data you have and how you would like to organize it in a sheet. Most often we want to know the student's name, we want to know how many students are in that class or section of a class, and we want to have maybe some information about them. For example, a grade on their first and second assignment for the trimester or quarter. In order to set this up, it's very simple. You start with one cell and you can click on it and you can type any information you would like in this formula bar. So for example, I am going to type in student 1. You would then go down to the next cell. You can either click on the cell, you can hit your down arrow, or enter in order to continue entering all your student names. Once you've entered your student names, you most likely want to know how many students are in that class. Now it's very simple to click on your first cell, type in 1, click on the next cell, type in 2, and click on the next cell and type in 3 until you get to the end of your list. But Google Sheets can actually help you do this in a much more efficient manner. You start by typing 1, 2, and 3 just to let Google Sheets know the pattern that you would like it to fill in the remaining cells with. Click on the first cell member of the pattern and drag over the next two. You may then let go of your mouse button, go to the bottom right hand corner where there is a little blue square. Your cursor will turn into a thin black cross. Once your cursor has turned into a thin black cross, please click and drag all the way down to the bottom. When you get to the last cell, release your mouse button and Google Sheets will fill in your numbers for you. Now, once I have some grading information on students, I may want to change the formatting of my cells. So any cell I would like to format or change the format of, I would click and drag, because you can select multiple cells at once. I would go up to my formatting options and click bold, and maybe I'd like them italicized. And you can also change the font type and font size as well. And again, I strongly encourage you to go through and play with the formatting options, as Google Sheets has a lot of formatting options that you can really use to organize your data. The next thing I'd like to show you is a very simple formula. Sometimes we want to know the average or the sum of numbers in a sheet. And so in order to do that, Google Sheets can really act like a calculator for you if you tell it exactly what you want to know. The first thing you do is select the cell and then go up to your formula bar. Once you've clicked inside your formula bar, you can start typing the operation you would like Google Sheets to execute. So, for example, I need to tell this cell that I want it to be equal to, so I would type equal, and then I would type in the word sum, because I'd like to find the sum of two numbers. Once you type that in, Google Sheets is really generous. It gives you a list of possible formulas or functions that you might want it to perform. In this case, I'm going to find the sum, so I'm going to click on the sum. It then gives me an open parentheses. Now at this point, there's two ways of entering the information. I want to know the sum of the cell C2 and the sum of D2. So I would like this cell, E2, to be the sum of whatever number is in C2 and D2 together. So the first thing I would do is you can click on the cell C2, then you're going to type a comma, and then you're going to click on D2. This is instructing cell E2 to be equal to whatever two numbers are added together in these two cells that I've identified. And the last thing you're going to do is when you end a formula, you always have to close those parentheses. Now if I just hit enter, you will see that cell E2 has the number 5 in it. If I click on cell E2, you will see that the information in the formula bar reflects the fact that I'm adding two numbers together. If I would like to continue that formula down, I would click on the small box on the right hand side, click and drag that down, and now you will see that this will give you the sum of the numbers in the two previous cells. And if I click on the cell below E2, you will see that automatically Google Sheets knows that I would like to refer to C3 and D3. You can also do the average of numbers, the mean of numbers, the median, the mode. This is a very, very useful thing to be able to do when you are working on Google Sheets. I also recommend, if you have any questions about other formulas that you can possibly enter, taking a look at the Google Sheets help site is incredibly helpful to any questions you might have about Google Sheets. So we're going to stop there for today. Please keep a lookout for future Google Sheets screencasts that may help you with some other more complicated or advanced things as well.